Hi ladies, I'm logging on a few minutes early because I don't really know what I'm doing and I want to make sure you can all join. So just give me a second while I figure this out. This is my first time using Facebook Live. Just want to make sure that I'm popping up somewhere. Okay, here I am. So I'm going to try and use my computer to answer questions. And yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're just gonna wait a few minutes for everybody who's interested in tonight's tutorial to join. There seems to be a bit of a backlog on the timing. So, hi Jen. So if I miss your question, I promise that I will come back at the end of the night and try and answer them afterwards and not watch myself. Thank you, Jen. I was so nervous I decided to put on some actual clothes, especially since the first time you and I Skyped, I realized my shirt was see-through afterwards. Okay, so I'll wait around for a few minutes and see if we can get some ladies to join. I have my wine, Jen. I listened to your instructions. A big glass. Also, my kids still aren't in bed, so the chances that they might come in, or my kitten, are high, very high. Okay, it says swipe to see who's watching the video, but so far I think it's just Jen. If you're joining, since I don't know what I'm doing, feel free to introduce yourself. I'm trying not to get distracted by the fact that I can see myself on my computer right here, which is a bit funny, but I want to make sure that I can actually see your questions coming in as we go. And I'm just going to wait a few more minutes and then we'll get started. So yeah, join. If you're joining, hi Jennifer. If you're joining, introduce yourself if you feel like it, and that way I can at least see that there's some people watching, which would be great. Tonight, if you're not sure, we're talking about the brand design process. So both mine, but also about how you can manage the brand design process on your own and try and do things yourself. So I'll take you through some of my favorite resources as a graphic designer, and try and sort of walk you through what I would do if I was designing my own logo, which sometimes I do. Hi Catherine, hi Andrea. Okay, so Jen says, tell us about you. Okay, so this is my side hustle. So I'm a graphic designer. I love designing brands and designing websites, but I'm also a writer and a communications expert at Queen's University in Ontario. I don't know if any of you know Queen's, but I work there during the day. I have, and I do this at night and on weekends. So shout out to all the side hustling ladies out there. Hi Becky. I have 2 kids and a husband and a brand new kitten who are all very mischievous and will probably interrupt at some point because they still aren't asleep, even though it's well past bedtime. But so don't be surprised if that happens. So I started my company, 21B Creative, a few years ago. And I didn't even really start out doing brand design. I started it out as a mishmash of things, event planning, some business consulting, and what kept happening was people kept complimenting my website and my logo and asking me to do theirs. And so eventually I sort of brought this into, hi Katie. Katie's been working with me lately and we are just so efficient, it's amazing. Hi Dawn. So it kind of evolved into a brand design company, and I really only started on focusing on specifically brand and website design about a year ago when I just shut down my current website, put up a sort of a holding page and said, forced myself to pick a launch date of August and just kind of went for it. And it's been amazing since then, since I streamlined my services and really focused on graphic design. And luckily for me, I met Jen reached out to me a few months ago and asked me to come on to help with some of the backlogged graphic design requests she had from some of you. And so, which has been awesome for me because you guys are the most organized people I've ever worked with, which is obviously key. And so it's been great so far. I have a bit of a growing wait list, which is kind of nice for me, not so much for you guys if you want things done quickly. And so this is where we've kind of landed is, some of you are ready to do things a little bit faster than I can produce. And so and some of you are on a tight budget, and that's cool too. I've been there. The first few logos that I did for myself, I did without any experience and just sort of fell in love with the process. And I learned about the process from working with a graphic designer for one business where I did hire a professional. And I loved the process so much, I liked it better than the business I was running. So that's kind of what gave me a little bit of an insight into maybe I should just be helping people do this instead. And I set out to teach myself how to use all these tools. So I can walk you through some steps tonight. That's my plan. We're going to go through, I think the easiest way for me to keep things organized will be to go through what I do in my process with my clients. Hi, Gabrielle. And then Diane, is that how I say your name? I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. This is really exciting for me. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is walk through my process and how I work with clients one-on-one to build a custom brand. And then as we go through that, I'll talk about ways that you can you do it on your own and sort of mimic the steps that I have in place. And I'll give you some of my favorite resources to do that. And then we can also talk about some other services that I can provide in case you get stuck. Okay, so let's get started. So when someone approaches me about a brand design, I obviously get very excited, but I try and set up a Skype call for about 20 minutes, although usually I'm pretty chatty, as you can tell. And so sometimes that turns out to be half an hour or 45 minutes, but it should be pretty simple. It's mostly about you, your business, and what you envision for a brand, who your target market is, all of these sort of really important questions that I need to know in order to start envisioning what you want. So I try and do that somewhat close to the start date so that I can really focus. I only try and ever take on 2 clients at a time so that my brain, I'm not trying to do artwork for multiple people with multiple concepts and getting things mixed up or missing key steps. Hi, Marlene. So usually we have a quick Skype call, and then when I receive the deposit and everything is ready to go, in terms of like I know when you're booked in the calendar and you know kind of start date, end date. I set up a client homepage on the back end of my Squarespace site. So I design Squarespace sites, and one of the things I love is that you can password protect a page on the back end. Hi, Alicia. And I use that as a home base throughout the logo design process. And it really just has all of the information that someone would need. So it has, a link, like it quotes the price and the services that I'm providing. It has a start date, an end date, or an estimated end date. So usually 2 to 4, it's usually 4 weeks for a brand design. And then it has right in it a questionnaire about the brand. So I'm actually gonna open one up so I can remember all of the questions I ask, because these are ones you should ask yourself when you're doing your own brand process. So you almost have to separate yourself from the design aspect that would be my suggestion if you're gonna do this yourself. So I can give you some questions to think about. Just give me 1 second. I have to get to the back end here and figure out where I've got this. Okay, so the questions I ask are, describe your business in one sentence. Hi, everybody. So there you go. If you're going to design your own brand, try and describe your business in one sentence. This is also a very good practice for your website and your sort of your elevator pitch. Is there an important object, building, person, something or other, some sort of noun that represents you or your business? What is the history of the business name? What makes you different from your competitors? And then I ask if there are any existing visual assets. So are there any photos, illustrations, graphics, or specific colors that you want used? And then my next question is the opposite of that. So what needs to be avoided in terms of colors, type, imagery? So some people are very adverse to, the color red or something like that. So be very clear about what you love and what you don't love. And then would you like a specific tagline to be used in the brand or any other kind of information like when you were established? Lots of people like that in a logo. So anything else that you want to see visually as part of your brand. Hi everybody, there's some new people joining, which is awesome. So if you can write out questions like that for yourself and really kind of get yourself doing your own brand questionnaire, you can do it one night really quick and then come back to it and make some edits, circle some keywords. Basically, this gets submitted right to my email, so it's great. I know when somebody's on there and paying attention to the back end, to their client homepage, and then it also prompts me with some ideas. The next step, also something you should do when you're doing a DIY, and I know how many of I know how many of you love Pinterest. Start a branding board. So it can be secret. But I do this with all my clients. Usually I start the board and invite them to it, or they might have already started one and they can invite me to it. And I ask her usually 15 to 20, 25 pins of designs that they love, fonts that they love, color, even just color inspiration. Like maybe you want your logo to be the color of the water in Greece. Okay, so put a couple of pictures of Greece up there. Or a couple of patterns that have a good mix of colors that you're going for. And what I do from there is I go in when they say they're done. So usually I say, okay, take a few days, email me, shoot me an email when you think you've got about 25 pins. And I'll go in and pick out my 9 favorite that I think stand out. And I build a very simplistic brand board, just 9 squares. And if you ever want to see what one of my inspiration boards looks like, I just posted one on my Instagram account yesterday, which you can find me there if you'd like to see some of my work. It's kind of like a mini portfolio for me. Actually, it's more than my portfolio because I put all of my rejected logos on there as well because I worked hard on them, and sometimes it's nice to show people how much work goes into a logo. So if you want to find me on Instagram, it's 21B Creative, so 21B Creative, and that's also my Pinterest handle, so feel free to find me there if you want a really awesome place to start looking for design inspiration and logo inspiration. I have hundreds of logos you can pin. I've got a board specifically for fonts that I think are nice, and I've got a board specifically for color palette inspiration. So head over to my Pinterest if you want. And you can pull as much or as little as you want from there. But I always try and get my clients to start, because your Pinterest feeds are probably full of organizing tips and organizing based stuff or home inspiration, and mine is design, like logo design, brand design. So you can really just pick up from my feed if you'd like. Okay, so that's basically the homework stage. And it's pretty simple. Once everybody agrees on the branding inspiration board, basically the point of that is to just find what common features you're looking for. So the one I pinned, or the one I Instagrammed yesterday, was like very clear signals from the person I'm working with that they wanted really modern, very clean lines, very simple word marks or monograms, straight lines, or circles or shapes, like very geometric. Sometimes it's really obvious when you look at a Pinterest board, and that's the point, is to sort of not choose too many, kind of curate it so that there's a very clear message there of what you love. Okay, let's move on. When you come, next would be the part where I would start sketching out some ideas. So what I try and do is do 4 concept sketches. Sometimes this isn't so easy if you want really just a font-based logo, but when someone wants something like an icon or a shape of some sort, this is when I do my artwork, what I consider artwork. So I've got some examples because I wanted to screen share, but there wasn't a great example, but like I can show you how messy my work is. So a couple of weeks ago, this is what I'll do. Like, this is for a new client, and you can see how many times I wrote out the word dough. Okay, thanks a lot. This, a client last year wanted a ball of yarn. So it was like a wool company, and they wanted a ball of yarn, and I must have literally painted, like I think I was playing around with watercolor a lot. I must have literally done hundreds of like yarn drawings. So that's the concept stage. And if you're gonna do something like that yourself, get drawing, get sketching, play around with different things like pens, pencils, markers, paints if you want. It gets a little bit more complicated if you're going to do it yourself that way, but the good idea, even if it's just conceptually, you're writing out the layout of the name that you want, and you can go look for fonts afterwards. So what I do in that sense is I'll sometimes send even just screenshots of my drawings, of my 4 favorite drawings. So I'll whittle it down to 3 or 4, and I'll email them to the client and say, give me your initial feedback. Now for you, it's almost impossible to give yourself feedback. Now, you might have a sense of which one you love the most, and that's great. But it's also nice to get feedback from your husband or wife, or your colleagues, or if you have subcontractors already, some of the people that you work with, or even clients, if you're close with them, or you feel like you're at that level of comfort. It's really nice to get someone else's opinion on your drawings and sort of your concepts or sketches. Then you want to digitally mock them up. So this is where I'm going to talk about some of my favorite resources. So if you're looking for fonts, really nice fonts, my 2 favorite places to look are 2 websites called Font Squirrel, which is free. So all of the fonts are royalty free, and you can download them super easily. Some of them take you off site, but it's usually pretty easy to get through the website. And then, oh, thanks, Katie. And then the other one is Font Spring. So Font Spring, I don't even know if there's any free fonts there, but there's really high quality stuff on that. So it's fontspring.com and fontsquirrel.com, I believe. And they both have great fonts. Obviously one's free, one's more expensive, but both of them will let you write it, like type in the name of your business and see it directly on the homepage. And if you go to FontSpring and you can find in the sort of right hand sidebar demo fonts, they will actually let you download a demo to your computer, install it as a demo, and unless you use that for your project, you don't have to buy it. So important to make sure that you have the right rights for all of this stuff. I just want to make sure I have enough battery. Download the fonts. If you're going to use them, make sure you buy them. The other amazing place that you're going to want to get on and get familiar with, if you're not already and wanting to do a DIY thing, is creativemarket.com. So I know you guys are familiar with Etsy for logos and stuff like that. Creative Market is like the graphic designer. It's a lot more streamlined in terms of graphic design tools and content. So highly recommend checking out Creative Market. And if you want to blow past a huge portion of this back and forth conceptual design and really shortcut the process, they have literally thousands and thousands of pre-made logos. And like, honestly, some of them are so nice. You can download it, and usually the people will walk you through in a little sheet of how to update it with your own name. And they'll give you the name of the fonts that they used. And in most cases, these pre-made logos are made with free fonts. Now, obviously with buying a pre-made font, you're gonna run into the fact that somebody else might have it. And that's just the risk that you're taking. It's also a lot harder to find something very specific that you might want. But if you're going for like a really minimalist look, you might just find the perfect thing. So check out Creative Market. You can also check out Etsy, which is, I know you guys are probably more familiar with Etsy, which is great. But give Creative Market a try. And I don't have like a really good account there with a whole bunch of saved stuff, so I apologize in advance. But it's really easy to just go through graphics, fonts, pre-made logos, Instagram, like they have all this social media stuff you can purchase, tons of stuff, photography. So it's a really great resource for stock photography as well. So check it out. Make sure you get Creative Market. So I gotta get my notes back. I kind of lost my place when I showed you my drawings. So I've gone through fonts and graphics. So once you get that stuff in hand, or you get, like at this point, I would be doing, the first round or I've done the first round of concepts. We've done the feedback. I'm gonna do a digital mockup. And this would be where you would be you might be purchasing your stuff, or if you're ready to do a digital mockup, it's time to download Illustrator. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning. Illustrator is not intuitive. Unless even if you use Photoshop, it's a little bit different. You're gonna need to do the tutorials, even if it's really simple. The reason you want to use Illustrator and not something else is because Illustrator produces the highest quality digital assets in terms of it being vector-based. And a vector-based means that the logo looks amazing this big and the logo looks amazing this big. Like, it doesn't matter how big or how small you make it, it's going to retain its quality. Very important with logos, especially if you want to, well, in your case, you're probably not making signs, but, I'll get to Canva, Natalie, because I do love Canva, but for a different purpose. So I did notice that Canva came out with logo design. In a pinch, I've never tried it. In a pinch, you could use it. It's probably not super unique, and I'd prefer someone to go the Creative Market or Etsy route. But Canva does have a special place in my heart for lots of other things, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. Illustrator, not intuitive, but it's the best program, and that's what any good brand designer is going to be creating the assets in Illustrator, not in Photoshop, not in Canva, not in anything else. It doesn't necessarily matter what model they're using. I mean, the nice part about downloading the trial is you'll get it for 2 weeks, but make sure in that 2 weeks you've set aside time to actually work on this thing. They got lots of tutorials, and your stuff will be really high quality, and anything you download from Creative Market, you're probably going to want to edit with your own, unless you find some sort of monogram that already has your initials or something, but that's probably really unrealistic to aim for. So do the Adobe tutorials. Skillshare.com has a lot of amazing beginner tutorials, but keep in mind, and this is the thing with DIY anything, brand design requires a specific skill set, and if you're spending a lot of time, know when to quit or know when to ask for help, and luckily Jen has set me up as someone you can ask. So feel free to just shoot me, you can always shoot me a question if you're a bit stuck. But you're going to want to make your edits in Illustrator, and then you're going to want to save your file. So, well, let's talk about color, I guess, before we talk about saving files. So when you have when you've chosen your final logo concept, or I've taken you to there through the brand design, we're going to want to talk about variations on the logo so that you can use it in different places. So this is something you're going to want to keep in mind, and different colors. And so how do you color match? There's 3 different values for finding colors. The easiest way is to drag a photo into Illustrator, and you can use the little eyedropper tool to literally match whatever is on the photo, which is why Pinterest is so great. If you pin a photo and say, I love the colors in this, I can literally save that photo onto my computer, drag it into Illustrator, and color match from that photo. So it's great that way. Or if you have specific values, you can put them in RGB, CMYK, or hex values. That might be a bit confusing, but for those of you who already have established brand colors, it's good to know that you can easily match them to anything in Illustrator. Okay, time out for a wine break. Right, Jen? Okay. When you think that you're almost done, it's really nice to step away from it for a little bit or source some extra feedback. Sometimes it's nice to just have someone say, you know what, I think there's gonna be like a little bit, this part of the logo could just be a little bit bigger. Or, I find that word hard to read. Could you make it, yeah, it's like 95 degrees in here too. Red wine's probably the last thing I should be drinking. I'm gonna be like, have wrinkles and be all dehydrated tomorrow. Have someone just do a quick check or take a little break from it, come back, make any final changes you want to make, and then create some submarks and variations on that. So one thing that you might want to think of is, even if you created sort of this like landscape shaped logo, try and do one. Yes, Dawn, join me. Try and do one that's maybe like would fit into a square, because if you think about something like, I don't know, your Facebook profile picture or your Twitter profile picture, you're going to be limited to a square. So you have to make sure that any design you have can fit into several different shapes. I think the key ones really are, can it fit into a square? Can it fit into a rectangle? Once you have those, you're probably fine. And then you can take little elements, like maybe there's a little swish, or maybe there's 3 dots or something like that, or maybe it's just the icon, and separate that out. And what you want to do is create an Illustrator file so you can save them on different artboards. So you'd save them to multiple artboards. This is a little confusing to show you without having a computer here. But what we're going to do when you've got your variations of your logo is we're going to save them in different file formats. So another thing, if someone's sending you a pre-made logo, make sure that they've got several file formats. That's okay. It's okay. I'm down with coffee, although I feel like that would make me hotter at this point. You're going to want a few different versions. You're going to want JPEG, probably EPS files, and probably PNG. Only because you're going to want files that JPEG is pretty standard. It's a low quality file. It doesn't expand. It's not vector based, so it's not going to expand and keep its quality. It's going to look crappy if you try and blow it up. So that's always my last resort to use. But a lot of websites, that's all they'll let you upload. Whereas EPS and PNG both hold their vector-based abilities, and so they can expand and shrink. And you can get them in transparent files. So they're really good if you want to put them on a website and you have a white logo and a navy blue background. Well, like, you can put a white logo on a navy blue background with an EPS or a PNG file as long as they're transparent. So I really like sending all three of those files to my clients. Try and get them if you can. Seek out some file sources that you can get, or ask your designer for those three versions if you have someone else. When you have your logo, this is where Canva can come in really handy. So marketing materials are basically required if you want to be on social media. And you want to build your content without having to take a million gorgeous photos. Jen's amazing at this. She's I can't even believe how much content she puts out that's branded beautifully. But I love Canva for that reason. They have some amazing templates for stuff like this. And what you do is you can directly upload your PNG file, so your transparent logo file, in all of your variations and all of your variated colors, and put that directly into your uploads in Canva and start dragging them onto your marketing materials. So as much as I wouldn't suggest you necessarily do a logo in Canva, I use it all the time, even for my own 21B stuff, like, my Twitter header and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to think about even Pinterest graphics. It's like, well, what's the ideal pixels? And I don't have time to keep track of that. I'm not that organized. You guys probably are, but I'm not. And so it's awesome for that because everything is preset for you. So use Canva for your marketing materials, for sure. And it's free, which is amazing. It gets a little harder when it comes to fonts. So they have a really limited font selection, which kind of drives me crazy. But if you upgrade to the professional Canva or whatever it's called, you can actually, I think you can upload your own fonts, which is really cool. I haven't tried that because I'm still a cheapskate and still have my free version. Okay, so I guess I should go over some really basic stuff if you decide to go the DIY route. And my first one is keep it as simple as possible. So, Dawn confirmed you can. See, Dawn didn't cheap out on the Canva version. Awesome. Tell me how it is. Tell me if I need to come over to the dark side. Okay. Keep your logo as simple as possible if you're going to do it yourself. If you're going to attempt to do this without any help from a pre-made logo in Canva in Etsy or Creative Market, ideally you will pick a very classic font, type out the name, and that can be your placeholder brand until you are ready to invest in something more custom or you've had time to think about it a little bit more. I've been there where my business was progressing faster than I had the ability to brand it. And I literally just slapped on the first font that I thought looked a little bit unique. And it was kind of hideous. I think I did it in hot pink and chartreuse green and I don't even know how to say that. And I mean, it worked. I think I had it for about a year before I even could wrap my head around spending time on a brand. And I totally understand. And it's not cheap. I mean, like I charge $500 and that's probably the lower end of what people normally charge. It's usually around $1,500 plus for a brand. But what I've tried to do is simplify my processes as much as possible and really just cut to the chase with my clients. So I'm not going to spend 6 months getting to know you. I just need you to answer a brand questionnaire and do a Pinterest board. So I try and keep it simple. Oh, amazing. See, Dawn, I just need to go for it. I just need to get the high-end Canva. So I tried to simplify it and streamline my process as much as possible so I can do this in a couple of hours. Yeah. Sorry. So yes, so you can buy a pre-made logo and then you tweak it in Illustrator because you're going to have to put your own business name. Sorry, thanks, Natalie. That's, yes, to recap, you can buy a pre-made logo, but these people are generally, unless you buy, like, I don't know, there might be someone out there who offers this service on Etsy and they'll brand it for you. They'll rebrand it for you. But generally what happens is these things are digital files. And as soon as you press like purchase, like complete purchase, it emails you the files and it'll be like an Adobe Illustrator file. And it'll say like Emma Woodman as opposed to Natalie Bartlett. And you're going to have to go in, download the font and upload it and download the font to your computer and then play in Illustrator until you've fixed the name. So make sure, one thing to keep in mind if you're going to do the pre-made route is make sure that your name is still going to look like, if your name is really complex and you know it says Amy Bell or something really short and your name is super long, it might not turn out as nice as you're envisioning because the pre-made logo is meant to look good on a short name. So there's these little funny intricacies to keep in mind. I've totally lost where I was before. So I'm just trying to think of what I might be missing. Give me any questions that you have. So different fonts with different letters too. Yeah, so exactly. So sometimes people will use these fonts with like the nicest looking letter in the whole entire font or typography, and it might not look so awesome. This happens all the time with me because my initials are EW, which are hard to make look nice. So don't get your hopes up. Like you might just be getting, you know, your $20 worth or $15 worth, and you might just have to bite the bullet and try another one. Sometimes, especially in creative market, you can buy packages of them. So like you can buy like a minimalist branding group of logos. And so one might not work, but the other one might. So that might be a good route too, if you're not sure of how your name will look. So Jen says, you mentioned making it work until you can invest in branding, keeping it simple. Yes. Thank you, Jen. Okay. So keeping it simple. So keep it to never more than 2 fonts in a logo. My favorite combos generally are, you either do and this is where I'm going to start using some terminology, but a sans serif font is one that doesn't have the little sticks on the end of all of the lines. Those look really nice. They're modern and they look really nice with script fonts, which look like handwriting. If you're going to use a more classic looking font, which is a serif font, actually, I have some examples here I can show you. So this logo for Lavender Homes, this is a serif font. So you can see the little ticks on it. Same with this one. And then this one would be a sans serif font. So it's got all these like clean lines. So you can mix. Actually, here's a perfect example of how I mixed it. So I had a serif font here and a sans serif here, which I like. You can do all sans serif, you can do all serif. But I generally like to stick with the more modern, simple ones if you're going to use a script font to match. Just makes it less cluttered. With colors, never more than 2. in a logo, preferably one, and just do the logo in each of the colors. So one thing you want to design and look for is logos that you can use or come in black and white. So in the beginning, I designed a lot of logos with lots of colors, and then I'd go and like try and print it on my black and white printer, and it would look like garbage. So the main key, and I always start designing in a charcoal color because it's a little bit easier on the eyes. But if I can't make the logo work in charcoal, there's no point in trying to do it in color. So keep your fonts to 2, keep your colors to 2 separately if possible. And yeah, just keep it as simple as possible. Minimal, if you're gonna do a DIY logo, minimal is the way to go. It's the way I do it anyways, as like, you know, someone who's been doing this for a couple of years. The more simple, the better. I love white space, you know, empty, like, yeah, just like a little bit of empty space around everything. Give it some room to breathe. Give a place for people to rest their eyes. Yes, colors at 2 if you can. Now, I'm not saying you can't have your logo in 4 colors. I do that stuff all the time. I just wouldn't have the same image having more than 2 colors. Trying to think if there's anything else. So, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to take a sip of wine so you guys can catch up to me timing wise. I don't know how far behind I am. I think I'm only a few seconds behind. It's so weird to just hear myself talk. Okay, no questions so far. Okay, so one thing I mentioned with Jen, and because you guys are an organized crew, and I know, you know, there's literally zero judgment if you want to do a logo yourself, because I've been there multiple times. I did love working with a graphic designer, which made me fall in love with and try and go for this myself. But sometimes it's just not in the cards. Oh, sorry, Illustrator. I keep saying, I probably shorten it all the time. So it's actually Adobe Illustrator. So Adobe, like who invented the PDF. So Adobe Illustrator is the program. It is very expensive program, but you can download a 2-week free trial. So look up Adobe, Adobe Illustrator, and download the trial once you're ready to actually fidget with a pre-made logo. Oh, thanks, Lainey. Okay, so one thing I talked to Jen, am I still the rest of the, oh, Katie, you're so sweet. Katie and I just finished her logo, and it's so pretty and simple, and I love it. And we are like this close to finishing her website, and I've never had someone so organized when it comes to their content, and it like made my day when she sent me her website content. So that will be another tutorial that I'll do in like maybe a month or so, whenever Jen schedules me in. But I'd love to come back and talk to you guys about website designs and how to streamline the process for both of us, and also do it yourself. And we can talk about templates and Squarespace and all that cool stuff. Just want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. So one of the things that I've been talking with Jen about literally in the last 24 hours, so this is not super well thought out, and you guys are welcome to get more information through my, like, just email me if you want more info. But we've been talking about if you guys do decide to go the DIY route, how I can help you still. Because what I don't want you to do is get stuck. Probably, like, I'm not saying you're gonna get stuck in Illustrator, but it's not very easy to learn. It took me a long time, a couple of years to get decent. You you can obviously type in your name, like that wouldn't be hard. But if you get stuck, shoot me an email, because I can do hourly design. And honestly, if it's something like that, it can be very simple for me to do and complicated for you to learn how to use Illustrator and which little icon means what. Okay, I didn't mean it to sound like you're gonna get stuck, but if you get stuck, just do not get so frustrated that you just don't bother doing it anymore. Just get at me, like send me an email through my website or through Jen's website. So anything you fill out in that form comes directly to me, and it's easy for me to just say, we can just figure out where you're at in the process, and I can charge you my hourly rate as opposed to charging you for our full brand design. One of the reasons a brand design costs what it does is because there is so much back and forth on the conceptual side. So you might have a very specific idea of what you want, and I have to somehow get into your head to get that information out. And and because you're a perfectionist and so am I, that can take a lot of back and forth. I try and minimize the need for that, but the reality is we all want it to be perfect. And so I don't want you to get so discouraged that you give up. We've also been talking about, and I would love to see if any of you are interested in this, because I have a waiting list and a full custom brand design, which is great, but it can take 4 weeks. And right now I'm booking for October. Not awesome. I mean, okay for me, not so great for you guys. But what I want is, what I would love to be able to do is, if you find a logo that you love, or even, I would love to do this thing where if you send me 3 or 4 options of pre-made logos that you love, I can tell you what I think will work, like kind of do a bit of a consult on it. And then once you pick the final one, I can actually edit it for you, create the variations, make it match your colors, and do it at a reduced rate. Because then I'm not the one that's designing. I mean, it doesn't allow me to add anything to my portfolio, which is, too bad, but because wouldn't officially be my design. But I could at least help you guys figure out which one might be a good option for you based on the name and what you want your tagline to be. And then I can probably do it in a few days as opposed to several weeks. So I just want to make sure that I'm providing services for you guys that hit the different price points and the different needs for customization. I obviously love doing custom logos the most, but I realized that, it took me a long time to even have the guts to bring my price up to something that, I was even making money, because this stuff can take, sometimes it can take, I don't know, 30 or 40 hours to do a logo. And then I'm like, wait, I'm making like $3. You guys, I know you go through all this pricing stuff yourself, so I know you hear me. But I just want to make sure that it works for both of us. So it's simplistic for me, and you guys can get me some really organized info and detail, but I can get you a brand in a few days as opposed to a few months from now, at a rate that's a little bit closer to what you might envision. So if you're interested in that, get at me. I still have to do a little bit of brainstorming about how I would simplify this process a lot and what kind of information I need from you. But please reach out to me if you're interested in that. You can shoot me an email via my website, which is 21bcreative.com. And you can also go see my portfolio there if you want to check out what my work looks like. Or Instagram is actually probably more up to date. And just let me know if you're interested in sort of this mini branding package. And I will work with Jen to get my site updated and her site updated so that it's there officially in the next few weeks or so. Oh, Jen, thanks. Jen just posted the link to her website, which is awesome. So you can go there and the form comes directly to me. And we can either get you set up for a fully custom brand design, and my wait list, mini branding. or we can chat about the mini branding option, and I will try to keep brainstorming of how we can make that work. So you guys have the info you need. So I don't think I have anything else. So to recap, get on Font Squirrel, get on Font Spring, get on Creative Market, get on the Adobe site when you're ready. You know, you can probably do you might be able to do the Adobe Illustrator tutorial before you actually download the trial, which would be great, so you can see what you're getting into. And if you get stuck, please just give me a shout, because I can do hourly work really easily. You know, if you just are like, I need my logo in this color blue, that's easy. That's an easy fix for me. So, if you have any questions, now's the time, but you can always ask them afterwards, and I'll keep an eye on the bottom of this video for the next few days. And I think that's it. Jen, do you have anything else that you'd like me to cover? I can't, I think that's probably it. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Like, this was fun, even though I feel like I'm talking to myself. I can see that there's a few of you watching, which is awesome. No, I don't see any. Nope. Thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in. And thanks, Stacy. And if you guys have any questions, please give me a shout out. I'm not great with Facebook, clearly. I just downloaded the app today. But you can send me an email on my contact form through Jen's website or my website, or find me on Instagram, or I'm on Instagram all day long. It's kind of embarrassing. What if I'm totally embarrassed? Oh, okay. Let's say I come to you and I have done a DIY job on all my stuff. What if I'm totally embarrassed? What are you really thinking about me? Jen, I've been there. That's fine. I just need to know what you need done, really. And if you want my opinion, be clear about that, because I might not give it to you unless there's something like blatantly obvious that needs to be changed. Because I can do like a quick consult on what I do think needs to be changed and what I can help you change. If it's a mess, and if it's not, and you're good and you just need a bit of help getting different variations or saving the different file types, that's the kind of stuff that I can help with. And you know, if you hate it, you know, I can help you start over, but you know, or I can help you find the right pre-made logo and that sort of thing. So I'm really flexible about what my services are. My website's pretty streamlined, and but for you guys, it's such an awesome experience working with everyone I've worked with that's come from this group so far, that I'm happy to make some exceptions and create some new services that are geared towards you and what you guys need, and what I can get out as fast as possible. So thank you, everybody. If there's any more questions, let me know. I will keep checking tonight on this post, and I think that's it. Don't be embarrassed if you mess up your DIY logo. Just call for help.